The descent into chaos started innocently enough, or at least that's what I told myself later, staring at the rain-smeared window of my cramped Brooklyn apartment. It was a Tuesday in late October, the kind of gray New York morning where the Hudson River looked like molten lead under a sky that had forgotten how to blue. I'd been nursing a hangover from too many IPAs at some dive bar in Williamsburg, the one with the sticky floors and the jukebox that only played Springsteen covers. My job as a graphic designer for a mid-tier ad agency paid just enough to keep the lights on and the student loans at bay, but it left me scrolling Grindr at 2 a.m., chasing ghosts in pixelated profiles. That morning, my phone buzzed with a confirmation email. Flight to LAX, red-eye, courtesy of a last-minute client pitch. Aiden Harper, seat 14B. It read, and I groaned, imagining the middle seat hell of a cross-country haul. But hell, it beat another day of photoshopping toothpaste ads. I threw a duffel in my backpack, jeans, a faded Yankees tee, my laptop, and bolted for JFK, the subway rattling me toward what I thought was just another blur of motion. Boarding was the usual cattle call. Harried moms wrangling toddlers, businessmen barking into Bluetooths, a gaggle of sorority girls giggling over TikToks. I shuffled down the aisle, squeezing past elbows and purses, until I dropped into 14B, wedged between a snoring retiree on my left and an empty window seat that I'd overpaid to claim. The plane smelled like stale coffee and industrial cleaner, the kind that masked but never erased the faint undercurrent of desperation in economy class. That's when I saw him, the flight attendant Jordan. His name tag gleamed under the overhead lights, moved down the aisle like he owned the goddamn stratosphere. Mid-30s, maybe, with the kind of effortless swagger that screamed Southern California surfer boy who'd traded board shorts for a crisp Navy uniform. Sandy blonde hair cropped short but tousled just enough to look accidental. Green eyes that crinkled when he smiled at the lady in 12C asking for extra pillows. His voice was smooth baritone, laced with a faint drawl that hit like warm bourbon. Folks, we're gonna have a bumpy ride tonight, but I'll make sure you're all buckled in tight. He paused at my row, handing me a ginger ale without me even asking. Our fingers brushed, electric accidental, and his gaze lingered a beat too long, those eyes flicking from my face to the faded tattoo peeking from my sleeve, a minimalist wave I'd gotten in a haze of post-breakup regret 2 years back. Rough day? He asked, low enough that only I could hear, his lips curving into a half-smile that felt like a secret. I shrugged, playing it cool even as my pulse kicked up. Just another Tuesday trying to outrun the rent. He chuckled, a sound that vibrated through the plastic cup in my hand, and moved on, but not before slipping me an extra pack of peanuts. For the turbulence, he winked. Hang in there, Aiden. He knew my name. From the manifest, sure, but it landed like a flirt, and suddenly the flight didn't feel so interminable. Takeoff was standard. The roar of engines, the lurch into the void, New York's jagged skyline shrinking to toy blocks against the black. I plugged in my earbuds, queued up a Bon Iver playlist to drown out the retirees' wheezes, and tried to sketch wireframes for the pitch on my tablet. But my mind wandered back to Jordan, the way his uniform hugged his shoulders, the subtle flex of his forearms as he stowed trays. It had been months since I'd let anyone close. Since Marcus, the bartender with the laugh like gravel and the habit of ghosting after sleepovers. Gay life in the city was a carousel of hookups and heartaches. But something about Jordan felt different. Steady. Real. An hour in, the cabin lights dimmed for the overnight stretch. Most passengers were out, heads lolling like bobbleheads. I shifted in my seat, the armrest digging into my side, when a shadow fell over me. Jordan again, this time with a blanket draped over one arm. Couldn't sleep? He murmured, unfolding it across my lap with fingers that grazed my thigh. Deliberate, this time. Nah, too wired. I pulled out an earbud, the playlist fading to static. Up close, he smelled like cedar and mint, the flight's recycled air parting around him like he was above it all. He leaned in, voice a conspiratorial hush. Want a tour of the cockpit? Or something less official? His eyes sparkled with mischief, the kind that promised trouble wrapped in temptation. My laugh came out breathier than intended. Lead the way, Captain. But it wasn't the cockpit he had in mind. He nodded toward the rear galley, a narrow alcove of carts and cupboards at the tail of the plane. Follow in 5. Act natural. Heart hammering. I waited, scrolling nonsense on my phone until the coast cleared. Then, slipping past the snoring masses, I made my way back. The galley was dim, lit only by the glow of a vending machine, Jordan silhouetted against it like a pin-up from some forbidden aviation calendar. "Hey!" he said, casual as if we were grabbing beers at a sports bar. "Ever wonder what happens behind the curtain?" Before I could answer, he pulled me into the space, our bodies brushing in the confined dark. The plane hummed around us, a cocoon of white noise. Jordan, but his hand was on my waist, warm through my shirt, and his mouth crashed into mine like the plane had hit an air pocket. It was fire, urgent, hungry, the kind of kiss that rewires your brain. His stubble scraped my chin, his tongue tasting of spearmint gum and the faint bitterness of black coffee. I gripped his belt, pulling him closer, the metal carts rattling softly against us. "God, you taste like trouble," he groaned against my lips, his breath hot on my neck. We broke apart only when a call light dinged faintly up front, reality intruding like a cold splash. He straightened his tie, that surfer boy grin flashing. "To be continued. Bathroom, row 2 in 10. Don't keep me waiting." I stumbled back to my seat, cheeks burning, the blanket twisted in my fists. What the hell was I doing? This wasn't me. Impulsive hookups at 30,000 feet? But the thrill buzzed in my veins like cheap champagne, and as the plane leveled out over Ohio's endless cornfields, or whatever lay beneath the clouds, I knew I was hooked. 10 minutes later, I was at the lavatory door, knocking softly. It swung open, and Jordan yanked me inside, the lock clicking with finality. The space was claustrophobic, sink, toilet, a mirror smudged with fingerprints, but it felt infinite with him there, his hands framing my face, thumbs tracing my jaw. "I've been watching you since boarding," he confessed, voice rough. "That tattoo, it's like a siren's call." I laughed, nervous, my fingers fumbling with his uniform buttons. Flattery from a mile-high club recruiter? I'm honored. But it wasn't flattery. It was raw need. Clothes shifted just enough. His shirt untucked, my jeans unzipped, and then he was on his knees, the plane's subtle vibrations amplifying every touch. His mouth was skilled, reverent, drawing gasps I muffled against my sleeve. When I came undone, it was with his name on my lips, a whispered Jordan, that echoed off the tiles. He rose, kissing me deep, sharing the aftertaste. "Your turn," I murmured, but he shook his head, eyes darkening with something unspoken. "Not here. Not yet." Instead, he pulled me close, our foreheads touching, breaths sinking in the humid air. "Tell me about you, Aiden. Not the flight version, the real one." So I did, spilling fragments between stolen kisses. The ex who left me for a straight-laced finance bro. The dream of designing album covers instead of ads. The quiet ache of turning 28 and wondering if love was just an urban legend. He listened, really listened, his fingers interlacing with mine on the sink's edge. "Sounds like you've been flying solo too long," he said softly. "Me? I'm from San Diego, grew up chasing waves and dodging my dad's homophobic rants. Flight gigs my escape, new cities, no strings." No strings. The words hung, but I ignored them, lost in the curve of his smile. We straightened up, promises murmured. "LAX layovers mine. Meet me at the hotel bar." And I slipped out, back to 14B, the retiree none the wiser. Sleep came in fits after that, dreams laced with green eyes and galley shadows. By dawn, as the plane banked over the Pacific, wheels kissing tarmac at LAX, I felt alive in a way I hadn't since college flings in dorm rooms. Jordan's voice crackled over the PA. "Welcome to Los Angeles, folks. Temperatures a balmy 68. Perfect for starting fresh." Fresh? Yeah. That's what this felt like. LAX was a beast, palm trees clawing at a smog-choked sky, the terminal a labyrinth of slot machines and overpriced smoothies. I cleared baggage claim in a daze, Jordan's number burning a hole in my phone from the note he'd slipped me during deplaning. The standard, downtown, 8 p.m. Don't ghost. My client meeting dragged, pitching eco-friendly packaging to suits who nodded but saw dollar signs, and by 7:30, I was hailing an Uber, nerves jangling like loose change. The hotel bar was all mid-century vibes. Low-slung leather booths, jazz humming from hidden speakers, bartenders in bow ties shaking martinis like pros. Jordan was already there, out of uniform in slim chinos and a Henley that hugged his chest just right, nursing a whiskey neat. He spotted me, stood, pulled me into a hug that lingered, his chin resting on my shoulder. "You came," he said, like it was a miracle. "Wouldn't miss it." We slid into a booth, knees knocking under the table, and ordered IPA for me, another whiskey for him. Conversation flowed easy, like we'd been trading stories for years. He talked about his route. Tokyo layovers with neon-drenched nights, Paris with croissants at dawn. "But New York's my favorite," he admitted, tracing the rim of his glass. "The energy. It's chaotic, like you." I flushed, deflecting with my own tales. Rooftop parties in Bushwick, the time I accidentally photobombed a Vogue shoot in Soho. Laughter came quick, his hand finding mine across the table, thumb stroking my knuckles. "Your trouble, Aiden Harper," he murmured, eyes locking with that intensity that made my stomach flip. We didn't make it to dessert. His room was on the 12th floor, keycard beeping us into a suite with floor-to-ceiling views of the glittering sprawl. City lights painted his skin gold as he backed me against the door, kissing slow and deep, hands roaming with purpose. Clothes hit the floor in a trail. My tea over a chair, his chinos pooling at his ankles, and we tumbled to the bed, sheets cool against fevered skin. It was different from the lavatory frenzy. Unhurried, exploratory. His body was lean muscle from gym sessions between flights, freckles dusting his shoulders like constellations. I mapped them with lips and tongue, drawing moans that vibrated through me. When he entered me, it was with a gasp-shared yes. Our rhythms syncing like the plane's engines. Afterward, tangled in limbs and sweat-damp sheets, he held me close, fingers carding through my hair. "Stay the night," he whispered. "Please." I did. Dawn crept in with the scent of eucalyptus from the hills, and we fucked again, lazy and laughing, his teeth grazing my neck. Breakfast was room service. Avocado toast and bad coffee, eaten cross-legged on the balcony, toes touching. "This could be something?" I said, tentative, watching his face for cracks. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Yeah, it could." My flight back was the next evening, his the morning after. We parted with promises, texts, calls, a weekend in New York when his schedule aligned. "Don't be a stranger," he said at security, kissing me fierce enough to bruise. The next weeks were a blur of pings and pixels. Good morning selfies from hotel rooms in Dallas, late-night voice notes recounting my agency's holiday party disasters. Jordan's voice became my anchor, that drawl wrapping around me like a scarf against the November chill. We video-chatted, faces filling screens, him in a towel post-shower, me in bed with takeout tie. "Miss your laugh," he'd say, and I'd melt. Thanksgiving hit, and I invited him to my mom's in Jersey, a shotgun affair with turkey and too much pie. He couldn't make it. Family obligations in San Diego, but sent flowers. Lilies, my favorite, with a card. "Thinking of you over the foam. Jay." I spent the holiday tipsy on Merlot, dodging Aunt's questions about that nice boy from work. My phone clutched like a talisman. By December, it escalated. He booked a red-eye to JFK, surprise visit, and I met him at the gate with a sign, "Mr. Right Wingspan." We crashed at my place, a shoebox walk-up with exposed brick, and a Murphy bed that creaked under our weight. Days blurred. Walks in Central Park under frosted branches, hot cocoa from street carts, nights where we'd cook pasta in my galley kitchen, elbows bumping, wine spilling as we laughed. Sex was constant, inventive shower steam, kitchen counter, once against the window with the city as witness. But it was the quiet moments that hooked me. Him reading my sketches, calling them art, or me tracing the scar on his rib from a childhood wipeout, listening to his heartbeat steady under my palm. "I love this," he said one night, post-orgasm glow painting us both, his head on my chest. "Us. Love." The word hung, unspoken echo. I didn't push. Instead, I whispered it back in the dark, testing the weight. Christmas was magic. He flew in again, and we escaped to a cabin upstate, snow blanketing the Catskills like powdered sugar. Fireplace crackled. Mulled wine warmed our veins, and we made love on a bearskin rug, his body arching under mine like a wave cresting. "You're my harbor," I told him, cheesy but true, and he kissed away my embarrassment, eyes soft. But cracks spiderwebbed in. His phone buzzed more. Texts he silenced, calls he took in the bathroom. "Work stuff," he'd say, but his jaw tightened. One night, buzzed on eggnog. I scrolled his Insta while he showered. Public profile, harmless, and froze on a photo him, arm around a brunette at a beach bonfire. Caption: "Family vibes as to sunset." She was tagged at Emily Vance. Fiancé? No, the post was from last summer, but the comments: "Can't wait for the wedding," from mutuals. My stomach nodded. When he emerged, towel slung low, I held up the phone, voice steady as I could manage. "Who's Emily?" His face drained of color, green eyes widening. "Aiden, it's old news." "Old like Prius old?" He sank onto the bed, head in hands. "We were engaged last year. Called it off 6 months ago. She's just family now. Friend." The air thinned. "You didn't mention. Didn't think it mattered." He reached for me, but I pulled back, the rug's fur suddenly itchy under my feet. "It matters when I'm falling for you, Jordan. When I think this is real." "It is real." His voice cracked, pleading. "She's the past. You're everything." We argued, low at first, then sharp, words like shrapnel. Trust, secrets, the fear of repeating histories. He swore it was over, showed me texts. Polite co-parenting vibes, no wait, not parenting, just closure. Emily was a lawyer, ambitious, the kind who'd planned a picket fence life until Jordan came out fully, post-proposal, shattering the facade. "I couldn't breathe in that," he said, tears streaking. "You make me feel free." I believed him, or wanted to. We made up in the snow-dusted hot tub. His apologies murmured against my skin, bodies reconnecting in the steam. "No more ghosts," he promised, and I nodded, burying doubt under hope. January brought resolutions and rot. My agency landed a big contract, vegan leather ads, and I threw myself in, but Jordan's flights pulled him west more. Calls grew sporadic, texts clipped, turbulence, talk later, then silence. A week, then 2. I paced my apartment, Brooklyn's winter wind howling outside, replaying every touch, every "I love you" whispered in the dark. Panic set in. I booked a ticket to LAX, surprised like he'd done for me, landing with a bouquet of those lilies, heart in my throat. His hotel was easy to find, the Wilshire, per a careless email forward. Front desk confirmed. "Mr. Ellis, room 805. I knocked, flowers wilting in my grip. The door opened, and there he was, Jordan, shirtless, hair damp from a shower. But behind him, on the bed, sat Emily. Not a ghost. Real, in lingerie that screamed reconciliation. Her laugh dying as she saw me. "Aiden," Jordan's voice was horror-struck. "You lying bastard." I choked, thrusting the lilies at him like a curse. Petals scattered as I turned, fleeing down the hall, elevator dinging like a death knell. He caught me in the lobby, grabbing my arm. "Wait, please. It's not what? What? You're back with her? After everything?" Tears burned, hot and furious. "She found out about us. Showed up, begging." I panicked, told her it was a phase. A phase. The word gutted me. "And me? Just turbulence in your perfect life." "No!" He cupped my face, desperate. "You're the real thing. I swear I'll end it. For good." But Emily stormed down then, eyes red-rimmed, voice shrill. "Jordan? Who the hell is this?" The lobby blurred. Guests staring, bellhops pausing. "Your ex-fiancé's side piece," I spat, wrenching free. "Enjoy the upgrade." Outside, LA's sun mocked me, palm shadows long and accusing. I hailed a cab to the airport, Jordan's texts bombing in. "Come back, please. I love you." Love. What a cruel punchline. The flight home was purgatory. I curled into 22A, window seat this time, staring at clouds that looked like shredded regrets. No ginger ale, no winks. just the indifferent churn of a beverage cart and my own ragged breaths. By wheels down at JFK, numbness had set in, a merciful fog. I ghosted Jordan's calls, deleted the voicemails without listening, blocked Emily's inevitable friend request. How she'd found me? God knows. Brooklyn welcomed me back with sleet-snarled streets and a fridge of wilted kale, my apartment echoing like a tomb. Work became salvation and sentence. I buried in deadlines, churning logos till my eyes burned, ignoring the pitying glances from my cubicle neighbor, Lena, who'd clocked my red-rimmed arrivals. Spill, Harper. She cornered me one lunch, over falafel wraps in the break room. Boy, trouble. I cracked, the dam bursting. The lavatory spark, the hotel nights, the betrayal in pixel-perfect clarity. She listened, fierce Latina fire in her eyes, then hugged me hard. He's trash, but you're gold, Aiden. Dust this off, you'll shine brighter. Her words stuck, a mantra against the nights when I'd wake sweating, Jordan's phantom touch lingering. I hit the gym, pounding treadmills till my lungs screamed, channeling ache into endorphins. Grinder stayed dark. Bars were avoided. Instead, I sketched, feverish, uncommissioned pieces. Waves crashing into cityscapes, lovers dissolving into sky. One night, buzzed on cheap red, I posted a series to my dormant Behance, Turbulence. It blew up, likes from old profs, shares from indie mags. A queer art collective in Chelsea DM'd. Exhibit opportunity, February. Hope flickered, fragile as a match. Mom called, sensing the fracture in my I'm fine-ness, invited me to Jersey for pasta Sundays. Bring a friend, she said, hopeful, but I went solo, her collard greens and probing questions a bomb. Love's a marathon, kiddo? She said over cannoli, her hand on mine. Not a sprint to the crash. Valentine's loomed, a retail assault of hearts and hurt. I planned armor. Solo movie, Thai takeout, a new playlist of Hosier anthems. But fate or masochism intervened. A work errand took me to Midtown, and there, in a Starbucks line, was Jordan. Unmistakable. That surfer slouch, green eyes scanning his phone like a lifeline. He saw me, froze. The barista called my name. Grande Americano, extra shot, and I grabbed it, turning to bolt. But he was there, voice wrecked. Aiden, 5 minutes. Please. Against every instinct, I nodded. We stepped outside. February wind whipping slush at our ankles. He looked wrecked, stubble shadowing his jaw, eyes hollowed by whatever hell he'd brewed. I'm sorry, he started, words tumbling. Emily, it was weakness, fear of the unknown. But losing you? That's the real crash. I sipped my coffee, scalding, buying time. You used me, Jordan. Made me believe in us, then yanked the parachute. I know. Tears welled, unashamed. I broke it off for real. Quit the routes that take me west. I'm transferring to JFK Hub, starting March. For you, if you'll let me. The offer dangled, tempting as forbidden fruit. Part of me, the part that still tasted him on quiet nights, wanted to grab it, rewrite the script. But the scar tissue pulled tight. Why should I trust you? Because I love you. Raw, stripped. Not the mile-high fantasy. The messy, everyday you. The guy who sketches waves and hates olives. I want mornings in your kitchen, arguments over takeout, all of it. Pedestrians blurred past, oblivious valentines clutching roses. My heart warred, fury versus forgiveness, isolation versus the terrifying leap. I need time, I said finally, voice steady. Don't call, but show up, prove it. He nodded, relief cracking his facade. I will, every day. He vanished into the crowd, and I walked to the subway, coffee cooling, resolve hardening. Back home, I unblocked his number, not for texts but to watch from afar. True to word, he started small. Anonymous coffee deliveries to my office, lattes with foam art waves. Then, flowers, not lilies, but sunflowers, bold and unapologetic. Notes followed. Day 3. Still thinking of your laugh. No pressure, just presence. By mid-March, the exhibit opened in Chelsea. Turbulence on gallery walls. My pieces lit like confessions. I stood in chinos and a blazer, nerves electric, shaking hands with collectors who murmured, evocative. Lena was there, cheering, Mom too, beaming in her leopard print shawl, and in the corner half-shadowed Jordan. Not pushing, just watching, pride softening his gaze. After closing, as guests thinned, he approached. "These are incredible," he said, gesturing to a canvas of fractured skies. We really talked over cheap gallery wine. He shared the hard parts. Therapy sessions unpacking his closet hang-ups. Emily's clean break. She'd moved to Seattle, starting fresh. "I'm all in," he vowed. "No ghosts." I searched his eyes, found truth. "Okay," I whispered, "but slow. Earn it." We started tentative. Coffee dates in neutral cafes. Walks along the high line where spring buds pierced concrete. Laughter crept back. Tentative at first, then full-throated. Sex, when it reignited, was rediscovery. Gentle in my bed, urgent against his new apartment wall in Queens. He decorated with my sketches. Cooked breakfasts with actual effort. Burnt toast forgiven. But conflict brewed, inevitable as thunderheads. April brought his transfer. Long hours training, routes that stole him overnight. One night, post-shift, he stumbled in at 2 a.m., whiskey on his breath. Not drunk, but loose. "Rough one," he muttered, collapsing beside me. "Passenger meltdown. Reminded me why I fly. To escape." Escape. The word stung, old wounds flaring. "From what?" "Us." He blinked, sobering. "No, God, no. From the noise in my head." We argued then, voices rising in the dark. My fear of being the rebound, his guilt over the lies. "You think I don't see it?" I yelled. "The way you check your phone, like waiting for the other shoe?" "Because I am." He shot back, tears hot. "Emily texts, updates, not romance. But it triggers me, okay? The what-ifs." The fight crested, crashing us apart. He stormed to the couch. I locked in the bathroom, sobbing under the faucet's roar. Dawn found us fractured, but we talked it out over diner eggs, raw and ragged. "Therapy together?" he suggested. "If you want." I did. Sessions in a sunlit office off Union Square. Unpacking baggage. My abandonment daddy issues. Thanks, Marcus. His internalized shame from Bible Belt echoes. It hurt, peeling layers, but healed too. Trust rebuilding like a bridge over abyss. Summer simmered in, humid and hopeful. We road-tripped to the Cape, windows down. His hand on my thigh as Springsteen wailed from the speakers. Beaches echoed his San Diego tales, but now with me. Sandcastles kicked over, laughter salty as the surf. Pride in June. Rainbow floats down Fifth, his arm around me, unashamed. "This is home," he said, kissing my temple amid the cheers. Yet betrayal's shadow lingered. In July, a package arrived, anonymous, addressed to him. I opened it, his blessing, post-fight transparency, and out spilled photos. Us, candid shots from the exhibit, the Cape, tucked in a note. "She's watching. End it or I tell her family. Emily. Not closure, vengeance." Jordan's face ashen when I showed him. After the breakup, I blocked her everywhere. "This is stalking." We went to the cops, NYPD's cyber unit, statements typed in sterile rooms. Restraining order filed, her Seattle number traced. "She's broken too," he said later. Over takeout in our fused apartment. His lease ended. Mine expanded. But that doesn't excuse. The climax hit sweltering August. A call from her brother, voice venomous. "Emily's in the hospital. Overdose. Blames you too." Jordan drove us cross-country. No flight, irony thick. Road-weary to Seattle's rain-lashed air. She lay pale, tubes snaking, eyes hollow when they opened on us. "I'm sorry," she whispered to him, then me. "For the photos, the pain. I lost myself." He held her hand, tears falling. "We all did. But get help. For you." Outside, in the downpour, I pulled him close. "You didn't have to come." "Yes, I did." His voice fierce. "Because love isn't just us. It's human. Messy. Forgiving." We drove back changed, the odometer ticking forgiveness miles. Emily texted weeks later, recovery program, therapy. "Thank you for not hating me." Fall leaves turned, and with them us. October marked a year since that lavatory door. We celebrated quietly. Rooftop dinner, city lights winking below. Two encounters I'll never forget. I toasted, glasses clinking. And the ones we'll make, he added, pulling me into a dance, slow under stars. November wrapped New York in scarves and steam, breath clouds on brisk mornings. The holiday rush already clotting sidewalks with shoppers and Santas. Jordan and I settled into rhythm, the kind earned through storms. Shared lease on a loft in Dumbo. Views of the Brooklyn Bridge like a steel-veined promise. My art took off, commissions from queer zines, a solo show slated for spring. While his route stabilized, home more than away. Mornings were coffee and crosswords, his foot hooked over mine under the table. Nights, tangled sheets and whispers of futures. But humanism's not linear. It's loops and leaps. Emily's shadow taught us that. She reached out sporadically. Updates, not intrusions. 6 months sober. Starting law clinic for LGBTQ plus folks. Jordan forwarded them, transparency our pact. One weekend we flew to Seattle not for drama, but support. Her clinic's ribbon cutting. A brick building in Capitol Hill, rainbow flags snapping in the wind. She hugged us awkward, grateful. You saved me in a way. Showed me love doesn't destroy. Back east, gratitude deepened ours. Thanksgiving at Mom's. Jordan charming aunts with wave-riding tails. Carving turkey with a flourish. Family, he said later, washing dishes beside me, suds bubbling. This is it. Christmas echoed last year's magic amplified. We strung lights on a scraggly pine. Baked cookies that charred, his fault, my laughter. Gifts unwrapped slow. For him, a custom surfboard sketch, waves curling into our initials. For me, a leather-bound journal, pages blank for stories unwritten. Our book, he murmured, inscribing the flyleaf. To Aiden, anchor in the storm. New Year's dawned crisp, fireworks blooming over the East River. We watched from our roof, champagne fizzing, his arms around me from behind. Resolutions, I asked, leaning into his warmth. More of this. Kiss soft, then fierce. You. Trust the flight path. Even the bumps. Spring unfurled with my show. Harbors at the same Chelsea space. Canvases of safe shores and shared skies. Opening night buzzed. Critics scribbling. Collectors bidding. Jordan hovered proud. In a blazer that made him look like a movie star. Toasting me with flutes of Prosecco. My artist, he said, eyes shining. But life's not all launches. It lands too. June brought news. His company restructuring, routes cut. Economy, he shrugged, but worry etched his brow. Applications flew, Delta united but callbacks lagged. Money tightened. Freelance gigs for me dried. We budgeted brutal. No takeout, ramen nights with candlelight charm. Arguments flared. Sharp over bills, soft over dreams deferred. You're enough, I'd say, holding him through jobless nights, his head on my lap. We'll weather. He nodded, but doubt lingered. July heat wave amplified it. AC broken, tempers short. One evening, sweat slick, he snapped over a spilled coffee. Can't even keep this together? And I fired back. Like you kept a secret? Old wounds ripped. We slept apart, the bed a chasm. Morning brought apologies, coffee peace offerings. We're human, he said, echoing Seattle. Flawed, but fighting. Therapy resumed, tandem sessions dissecting fears. My scarcity scars, his performance pressure. Progress was glacial, but real. Date nights on budgets. Picnics in Prospect Park. Stars for ceiling. Affirmations whispered pre-sleep. August surprise. Callback from American senior attendant, JFK base. Interview nailed. Offer in hand by Labor Day. Celebration. Cheap barbecue on the roof. Neighbors joining with coolers and guitars. Jordan strummed off-key folk. Me sketching the scene. Laughter rising like smoke. Fall deepened bonds. October marked 2 years since that restroom revelation. We recreated it. Chartered a prop plane over the Hudson, turbulence optional. Pilot winked, leaving us alone in the cockpit's nook. Kisses mid-air, hands wandering, but no rush, just presence, the world vast below. You changed everything, he said, wind tousling his hair through the cracked window. Ditto. I grinned, heart full. From hook to home. Winter whispered in, holidays hybrid, Jersey for turkey, his San Diego for tamales with reformed family. His dad, gruff but thawing, shaking my hand with, take care of my boy. Emily even Skype cheers, her clinic thriving, a bridge from pain to peace. By spring, my show toured Boston, then Philly, Jordan tagging along on off days, turning trips to trysts. One night in a Beacon Hill B&B, candlelit, he dropped to a knee, ring glinting. Simple platinum, wave-etched. Marry me, Aiden. Not for show, for us. Through every altitude. Tears blurred, yes, 1,000 times. Cheers erupted. Lena via FaceTime. Mom squealing from Jersey. Wedding small. June? Rooftop vows under Brooklyn sun. Suits rumpled by breeze. Rings exchanged with ocean promises. Life post-vows? Not fairy tale flawless, but fiercely ours. Conflicts came, career pivots, my exhibit flops, his route delays, but we navigated, therapists and talks our co-pilots. Betrayal's scar faded to lesson. Love's not absence of storm, but dancing in it. Years blurred. Adopted rescue pup named Arrow. Loft expanded to nursery whispers. On quiet nights, Jordan's hand on my belly, surrogate in works, he'd murmur. From a restroom spark to this. Never forget. I wouldn't, because in the end, it's the encounters, the raw, the wrecked, the redeemed that forge us human. And ours? A flight worth every mile.